This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, Drive-In Massacre is celebrating its 45th anniversary. And here we are, March 17th, 2021, and I'm delighted to have my 25th interview of the year so far. Knock on wood, I'm proud of Zoom. Whoever invented that, give them an award because I'm back doing this. It's so great. But I have a guest from Drive-In Massacre on the show with me today, a detective who sometimes has to go undercover and drag at those drive-ins. I got the wonderfully talented John Goff. How do you do, John?
I'm doing fine, Greg. Thank you.
Here's my Drive-In Massacre story.
All right.
I had not heard of this movie until about 2 months ago. I was browsing around the record store with where the Blu-rays and the vinyls and stuff are, and I just kind of come across this. And we haven't had drive-ins here. Like I'm gonna be 49 this year in July. I remember my parents took my brothers and I to the drive-in. I remember Pete's Dragon was the first movie I saw at the drive-in. I was 5 years old. We had saw the Star Wars trilogy, E.T., the Extraterrestrial, Raiders of the Lost Ark, some Disney classics, all kinds of stuff like that. But the drive-ins closed in the mid 80s. I haven't been to one since, and I don't remember the last film I saw at the drive-in. But when I saw this in at the record store, Sunrise Records, I kind of picked it up. I was like, I never heard of this. And I'm one of these cats. I love horror films, and I was like, I'm going to give this a chance. This kind of has a little bit of a nostalgia feeling for me. So I brought it home and I watched it and I enjoyed it. I
Oh, good.
enjoyed it enough that I reached out to you. I was so happy to make a connection, and we're going to celebrate its 45th anniversary. So I took a chance on this. I enjoyed it, and I'm really happy with this movie.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
It, it's it was God, I can't 45 years ago. That would be back in the 70s, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have been 4 years old in
Yeah.
76 when this came out. I remember.
76, right.
Yeah. But I actually listened to the commentary track on it by the director a couple nights ago, and last night,
Stu.
yeah. And then I watched it last night before I went to bed just to get a little caught up on it, and yeah, I enjoyed it even more last night. I wanted to familiarize myself with some of the cast names because I
Yeah.
think the only person I knew of prior to this was Buck Flowers, who I know from Escape from New York and that little brief
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
thought,
also Back to the Future.
yeah,
The old drunk at the end. Damn crazy drunk drivers. They,
I remember
that,
him in Escape from New York. He goes, I remember when they gave me this thing, I'd be the president.
yeah, good old Buck. He and I, well, we uh, we had uh, we had been cast in a film called Devil and Leroy Bassett,
Uh-huh.
uh, 73, I think that was, and
Hmm.
we had such a good working relationship acting that we began writing
Hmm.
together. And Buck had been working in low budget independent in the independent field. I had been a film critic or reviewer of whatever at the Hollywood Reporter and Daily Variety
Hmm.
for 3 years, and I wanted to do some of my own stuff. And we were cast in film. Anyway, we paired up, started writing, and we wrote to budget and had sort of a reputation around here. We did good stuff. And anyway, Stu Siegel called us and said, "Look, I've got this this drive-in out in Van Nuys, and it's closing, and we can have it for free. Can you come up with a story for a drive-in?" So we put our heads together with Stu, and the three of us came up with this idea, and Buck and I went home, wrote it, and brought it back, and we never really had an ending to it, as you could probably
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
But we used people that we knew.
Mm-hmm.
Austin, the old bald guy, Bob Pearson, he was the director who cast us in Devil Leroy Bassett.
Okay.
And we used him. He was a quirky old fart. I love Bob. Bob was my best. We met in, he and I met in Clu Gulager's acting workshop back in the
Mm-hmm.
early 60s, and had been friends since then. But anyway, that's how that came about. And the drive-in massacre, and it was toward the end of the drive-in phase, I guess you could call it, a drive-in, although they did open one up here recently.
Ah.
They've had a couple of during the COVID, they had a couple of premieres there
I'm actually
as a
surprised they
drive-in.
haven't. I'm actually surprised the drive-ins have made a full comeback.
Yeah,
Because they'd be a great counter to the COVID
ab-
situation.
absolutely. Go
Mhm.
see the big screen and social distance at the same time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I know in that car, your partner was trying to social distance from you.
Yeah. Oh, Bruce Kimball. Yeah. Oh, it was fun writing that. We were writing on the fly a lot. Nothing was sacred. You know, if anybody had anything to tossed it in. But Bruce, a lot of people said Bruce and I looked too much alike to be.
You did look a lot alike. I
Yeah,
confused you a lot of times.
we look more like brothers than top partners. But that was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
We shot it in like a week. He
Mhm.
had the location for a week, and this for the days of the 16 millimeter short ends, and if you got a full roll, you're in hog heaven. Uh, Exciting days, actually, really exciting days for working in the independent field
Mhm.
and experimenting. So yeah,
I need to know, well, going back to Buck Flowers, I thought it was really interesting, the scene with him, he's working with his daughter. I thought that was pretty
yeah,
cool. Talk
yeah.
about bringing that about in that situation.
We were coming up short in time,
Mhm.
and that was it was just sort of a throw in, and uh, Buck said, "Come, I'll bring my daughter in," and she wanted to be an actress at that time, and she has since become an artist and living in Pennsylvania, and she makes
Oh.
little dolls and stuff. She's got a book out, and very talented lady. But they just sort of Buck and Burkina, his daughter, and Stu just sort of, I think Kenny Gibb shot that, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Uh,
That was the
they just
red
sort of,
herring. That was the red herring in the
yeah,
movie. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It just sort of, they just sort of went to an old warehouse and winged it.
Mhm.
I don't know. I wasn't even around on that part of the shoot.
You know what's funny? Even when he's playing threatening, he's just not threatening. Buck.
That's true. That's true. Uh,
I thought his daughter was going to say, "Daddy, would you please make it go." But it was a fun scene though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That
but no, I enjoyed the movie.
good.
I it's interesting because you were with the writers on this. It's like the end. I'm not going to give the ending away, but did you guys ever think? What did you guys ever have a thought about a sequel? Because certainly the door is open.
Uh, I never did.
No.
I don't know. Stu may have, but he went on to bigger and better things then. But no sequel was never mentioned. Never
Well, you want me to
mentioned.
tell you what
Never
I
even
did?
thought about it.
Well, one of the things I discovered last night, and I couldn't believe this. We do the Silverway Film Festival here every year. Of course, we weren't able to do it last year, and there was a movie that played here a few years back. I think it was 2010, called Plaster Rock, and it was directed by Jackie Giroux.
Oh, Jackie
And it's
Earl.
funny because I didn't know her from Adam. And I met her at the thing. I
Uh-huh.
didn't know this movie. I didn't know anything about her. I thought she was a local, but
Huh.
I met her. She was very nice, and I'm like, I was looking up the credits last night to so I could be better prepared for this interview, and it's like I clicked on her name, and I'm like, is this the same person?
Absolutely,
It
yes.
is.
She was a wonderful little actress.
Yeah, so I might have to get hold of her for this. I had no idea. I gotta be honest, I wasn't a big fan of the movie Plaster Rock. I think this was so much better, but but
I haven't seen it. Jackie. Jackie was a wonderful, wonderful actress,
yeah,
and
yeah.
became a producer.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote two films that she produced called Deadly Intent
Mm-hmm.
and Distortions
Uh-huh.
with Olivia Hussey and
Oh, Olivia Hussey, Black
yeah,
Christmas.
and one of them, Deadly Intent, was with Lance Henriksen,
Mm-hmm.
Maud Adams, and they weren't bad. They were mysteries and or strange things. She was married to Steve Railsback at that time, and Steve starred in both of them also. Uh, Terrific
Mm-hmm.
actress, and I never understood why it didn't go farther in that as she did. Could be just Hollywood at that time, but she was very good, very good.
Well, I didn't know she was a great screamer until I saw this. I'm gonna have to reach out to her because I know she's
Yes,
on Facebook. So I'm like, okay, I did not know. Last night I discovered that that was her. I did not
huh,
put two and two together
huh.
because like I said, I met her and I just thought she was a local doing a movie here. I never knew anything other
Yeah.
than that. So I was like, okay, well that is interesting. You learn something new every day.
I haven't had any contact with her in quite a while. I haven't had contact with many people
I
quite a while.
think I think she's on Facebook. I don't know
Uh,
for sure, but I'll have to. I think she goes under Jackie Giroux, I think, but
yeah, I'll have to look her up then.
yeah. But yeah, that was an interesting surprise. We should talk about the director Stu because you were in a few of his movies.
Yeah, at the same time that we were doing Drive-In Massacre, I was writing a film called CB Hustlers
Yeah.
for him.
Uh-huh.
And we shot that, I mean, back to back. We shot Drive-In Massacre one week, CB Hustlers the next.
Mm.
Uh, And then he went on, he became a producer for Stephen Cannell Productions and was producer on Hunter
Uh-huh.
and Silk Stockings.
Mm-hmm.
And he he bought a studio down in San Diego, and he's down there, still down there.
Oh, okay.
Sort of retired, but running the studio, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I was in contact with him. Oh, it's been about a year now, a year or two. It was before this COVID mess, uh, when they were redoing and Drive-In Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Not redoing, but Blu-raying or whatever they
The
do.
thing I bought, huh?
Yeah. Yes, that's it. That's
There we
it.
go.
Stu was a good guy. Also,
Mm-hmm.
I liked him very much. When he went to TV, he called me in, and I didn't make the cut because of he was a new producer, and he wanted me as a story editor on the show that he was one of the shows that he was working on there. But uh, I never really got into TV, and I really preferred the films, although I would have gotten into TV if it really presented itself. But I just didn't make the cut on that one.
Talk about working with Olivia Hussey. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that was, I didn't work a lot with her. I did the script,
Mm-hmm.
and I was out and met her several times. She's very nice lady. And I guess Jackie knew her. She and Steve had history with her. But she was very nice. I don't remember a lot about it. I only met her a couple of times.
Well,
But
in Drive-In Massacre, of course, you worked with Bruce Kimball. You're both the detectives on this. I really liked the dynamic between you two. And yeah, you both looked a lot alike, but still, I think it added to it.
yeah, well, we had a good working relationship together. Bruce was a good actor, and I haven't seen him for years,
Hmm.
but it, we just had a nice rapport, and I liked working with Bruce.
You got to be the bad cop while he got to be the good
Yeah,
cop, and you had
I
to
got to
run
dress and
after him.
drag.
You got to dress and drag. You got to run after the
Well,
peeper and
the paper, Norm Sheridan.
yeah.
Yeah. He,
Hmm.
I remember said, he started running. He said, "Oh, I could easily outrun this." And he took off and he looked around. He said, "There's an old fat man following me." And I didn't think you could move that fast.
Yeah.
Norm's over in, I'm still in touch with Norm. He's over in uh, Las Vegas now. Yeah. Been there for several
I'd love to have
years.
him on some point.
Well, I'll put him in contact with you then.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll send you his email address, and
Oh, I'd appreciate that. Yeah.
he, uh, Norm is a funny guy.
I
Uh,
like that little
he
hat
and
that he
Buck,
was always wearing.
he did a nice job on that.
Hmm.
He was a friend of Buck's. I think that's where, but no, yeah, I'm trying to remember when I first met Norm, but it was through Buck. I know that. Uh, Buck had converted his garage into an office,
Hmm.
and all of Buck's compadres and everybody hung out there.
Hmm.
And it was just sort of a revolving door. He sat there behind his bar and greeted everybody that came in. He had an open door policy. Buck was into everything. He was casting. He and I were writing. He was acting. Lived across the street from Ralph Meeker, and it was a wonderful time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, enjoyed it. So enjoyed it. But Norm was one of the regulars there, and we did he used to host a poker game, a poker party every week, once a week. And he went over, became a professional gambler over in Las Vegas.
Wow. Well, he was taking a gamble and driving Massacre.
Yeah,
He was the peeper. And
he was. And he did a nice job of that.
he did. That's
I,
their creepy smile he'd have on his face. He
yeah,
was like Quagmire
I
from
had,
Family Guy before Family Guy.
I, I just enjoyed. We had a good cast. We had a lot of good talent in that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we tailored a lot of it for the certain person. We okay, we put Norm in here, we put Bob in here, and we used all that stuff with Bob Pearson. I don't know that he uttered a line that he hadn't uttered in real time. Uh, he was so picky about his sandwiches, and we worked that in, and just it worked. It just worked at the time, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I enjoyed that too. And of course, Norman as Orville was, of course, another red herring. I
Yeah,
love the red herrings you guys present in this. I kind of wish we got a little more of a closure, but was that an issue with you guys, or did
yeah.
yeah?
We never could come up with one. And I couldn't, Buck couldn't, Stu couldn't, and we finally came up with the one that we have,
Well, it
such
was
as it
shocking.
is. But you're right. I'm thinking on it now, and it could have been a sequel. We could have,
Yeah,
but
but I gotta say, it was a nice shock ending. I gotta say that. Yeah. Talk about working with Robert Pearson, because he he played this no nonsense. He just, even when he's waving the vehicles and it's like move along, move along. It's like he just didn't want to be there, that guy. But I loved it the first time you see him, like when you guys are coming in to question him and he's putting the popcorn away, and I just had all these nostalgia memories come back of the old drive-in, which is one of the
yeah,
things I loved about this. And talk about working with him. He was a classy looking fella.
I love Bob. But that was all Bob's own personal wardrobe. All those outfits that he dressed gaudily.
There you
But
go.
he was one of the great characters in Hollywood at that
Mhm.
time. For me, well, as I said, we had first met in Clu Gulager's workshop there on Sunset Boulevard in 1963, 64, somewhere around in
Yeah.
there, and just kept in contact. And Bob became a writer and an artist and uh, a bartender, and he ran a bar down there in Hollywood for a while. And he knew everybody in town. Seemed like I remember we were at a place called the Four Trees once, and he introduced me to Fred Otash,
Hmm.
who was the big Hollywood detective, at the time. And they were on speaking terms together. He was just a wonderful character. Excuse me. But we tailored that. Well, Jim trying to form thoughts on Bob. He wrote the screenplay, The Devil and Leroy Bassett, and just, I don't know what to say about him. He was just a wonderful character. He became blind in one eye and continued working as a painter, as an artist. I had a gallery over here in Burbank for a while, and then he moved to Palm Springs. Finally went back home. He was contracted Parkinson's, and he went
Oh.
back to Kansas, and he ultimately died there. But I still talk to him in the early 2000s, and I talked to him a couple of times back there. But he and I used to roam around Hollywood together, and it was just a character.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to capture some of that and tailored Austin, whatever his
Yeah.
last name was,
Austin Johnson.
Austin Johnson,
Yeah.
yes. And we just do your thing, Bob. And he would do it. He could find fault with anything in the world. He was
Yeah.
a picky thing. And another friend of ours, I mean, Bob was, well, he's dead now, so I can pass this on. He was making book out of his apartment over
Mm-hmm.
on Beechwood there at one time during the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And another mutual friend, Gary Shaw, who went on to become a producer. He produced some things for Chuck Barris and produced Barney Miller,
Okay.
and was one of the producers on Barney Miller. But Bob, the three of us ran around together in the 60s, and we knew Bob was in. He went up on his door, bam, banged on the door. Open up, Pearson. And Pearson comes scratching that bald head of his. What is it? He said, open up. The cop said, what is it? What is it? He opened the door and he looked at us. Oh, you bastard. Oh, you bastard. Hey, I just flushed $20,000 worth of chits down the toilet. Uh, I don't know how he got out of that, or I'm sure he got out of it, but he may not have been doing that, but that's what he claimed he was doing. He always had something going. Always. Really, really a character.
And of course, Douglas Goodbye as Jeremy. That was
Yes,
an
yes,
interesting
yes.
guy.
God, what was his real name? I can't think.
Charlie Garmy. That was the character's real name.
Yeah, no, I can't remember what his real name, the actor's real name.
Oh,
Wasn't
Douglas.
Douglas Goodbye? No.
No.
I can't remember, but he was a character. Buck came up with him from somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't remember where, but Jeremy, yes. I don't remember a lot about him other than he was a good actor for that anyway. I saw him do a couple of other things, but he never
Well,
got big.
yeah. No, he was great in the movie,
Yeah,
and he was another one of these red herrings, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys did really well with the red herrings in the movie. So
We just couldn't come up with who did it. Other than, well, no, I won't give it away either.
no, no. Well, it's a nice shock ending. I gotta say that. I enjoyed that. You know. Yeah, I love the drive-in setting and all the weird couples that would be in these vehicles. You
Yeah.
know. Where did you find all these people?
I don't know. Buck also cast that thing. So
Janice
trying to remember
Blatha,
everything. It's been a while since I saw it. Well, I saw it last year. Uh
Janice Blythe was, of course, I think that's her right
Uh,
there.
I don't remember who that is.
Yeah,
Mm.
but you
There
had
was a couple. One got his hand chopped off. And who was that? I don't remember. He was a production manager around town for a while.
well, I
I don't
remember
remember
there
his name.
was that opening. The guy was reaching out for the speaker.
Yeah,
He lost his head, and then
yeah,
she got pierced right through the neck, and then ended up
yeah.
trying to get out of her car, and that's where she ended up. That was a great opener. And you had the couple that were shish kebabbed in their car with that
Yeah,
sword, and you have various others, guy getting in his car and his
yeah.
date's head falls off, and you had some good there's some good gore effects in this, and this was right around the time, of course, when Tom Savini was starting out too. Of course, he doesn't do this film, but were you there when they were doing any of the makeup effects for the gore scenes?
No, not really.
No.
I was just there when I was there. I didn't go out and visit a lot.
So who picked your drag clothes?
Uh, I don't remember. I really don't remember. The rest of it was my own wardrobe. Uh, we had some strange wardrobe back in those days, but most of us just we just came out in our own wardrobe, and Stu would say yeah or no,
I just
and
thought it was
we'd bring
funny.
some things out.
I thought it was funny that Robert Pearson's character Austin fell for it and said, "Boy, his date's ugly," or this or that. I thought that was funny. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, we did have some good gags in that.
yeah, I had a good time watching it last night.
Well, good. Yeah.
Did you see
Uh,
this at a drive-in?
No, no, I never saw it at a drive-in. I Stu gave us a screening of it, and then I didn't see it again for years.
Did you ever
And
see it in a theater or anything like that?
no, never
Oh
did.
wow! Oh
Never did.
wow!
Never did.
Do you get recognized for this film?
No.
No.
Uh, I've had a couple of people call on it, but God, I couldn't recognize myself from then, Greg.
I
If I
do.
look, really, uh,
Oh yeah.
I had dark hair then, and uh, clean shaven, I believe. Yeah,
Do you ever do the
and
convention scenes?
no, I haven't.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah,
I just
I
started doing those in 2017 when one of my guests invited me to one. And it was
yeah.
the first time I'd ever traveled out of New Brunswick, Canada, and it was in Toronto, and I had so much fun. And yeah, you meet the fans, you sign autographs, you make money, and it's
Ah,
yeah, it's a lot of fun. And something like this you'd think would be a good staple at the horror film ones, like Horrorama, the one I go to in Toronto, but there's also
yeah.
like Horror Hound, Monster Palooza, Texas Frightmare, or stuff like that.
Ah,
Yeah.
have to
Have you
look into that. I know a friend of mine. Well, he was my writing agent and acting agent there up until a couple of years ago when I just finally retired completely.
mhm.
It was David Ankrum. He did some voice in Star Wars,
Uh-huh.
that Flyer's voice, and he goes around all the time to those Star Wars conventions. Well,
I should see if you want me to, I could try to put you in touch with Sean Clark because he represents a lot of the horror film people. And
yeah,
I had him. He does a YouTube thing called Horror Hollows Ground, which he goes around to locations to all these horror films.
ah,
And yep. and I had him on and interviewed a lot of his clientele. I should see if he would take you on because I think something like this, especially when he deals mainly with horror,
Yeah.
maybe he could
Well,
get you into some of these.
I've got a somewhat of a pedigree. I was in The Fog,
Yeah, I know
and
we're going to
They
get to those.
Live.
Yeah. We're going to get to those. Yep. But but yeah, I'll have to I'll bring your name up to Sean Clark. Do you mind if I give him your email address?
No, not at all.
I'll do
Not at
that.
all.
I'll do that because never know. He might. Of course, with the pandemic, there's been a few conventions go on,
Yeah,
but not a lot. But there's been a few going on. But
yeah,
maybe he might because that could be interesting. I know he
yeah,
deals mainly with actors, and of course, were in a lot of these movies, and I know he's.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, maybe I'll see. I don't know whether anything will come of it, but I'll certainly throw your name out there.
If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I do have to bring up Gas Pump Girls here because you're the
Oh
third
God.
person I've interviewed from it.
Oh, who else was
I I
guess.
I interviewed Joel Bender, the director, who was a nice
Okay.
guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I interviewed the beautiful Sandy Johnson twice.
I don't remember her.
Sandy Johnson was in John Carpenter's Halloween. She was Judith Myers.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that she was in Gas Pump.
She's in Gas Pump Girls, and actually, she was on my show last month, and she was on it the year before. Um, she had asked me to ask me if I still had contact with Joel Bender because she wanted to get some pictures for conventions because people were asking for pictures from Gas Pump Girls, and
Ah.
so I put them in touch. And but no, Gas Pump Girls was interesting. I gotta say one thing about Gas Pump Girls, and I brought this up a million times on this show, but I would love to get Kirsten Baker on here, who was a because when she was in Friday the 13th Part 2, and I saw that as a young teenager, she became the first female I ever seen nude. And Russell Todd, who was in that same movie, Friday the 13th Part 2, he said she'd probably enjoy hearing that story.
Oh God.
What were your memories of Gas Pump Girls?
I really have I was out there one day, did that scene in one day, and I don't remember a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Joel, I remember he knew what he wanted, and
Mm-hmm.
we did it, and then took off. Uh, that's about all I remember about that. But other than it was fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had mentioned The Fog, and of course you've done The Fog and you did They Live for Carpenter.
Yeah,
Are those the only Carpenter films you did, or am I missing
yeah.
something?
No, that's the only. Those are the only two I did.
I want to talk about They Live here first for a minute because I'm a huge Roddy Piper fan. Love Roddy Piper. I just had his daughter, Aria Teal Toombs, on my show for the third time Sunday night, and she is lovely. And when Piper passed away, it was the closest I came to shedding tears at a celebrity death,
Uh,
Yeah, I got some figurines of him, but his daughter's been on the show 3 times, and I'm still in touch with her, and,
uh,
but, um, They Live, I think is the best film that he was part of, and, of course, that big, long
yeah,
fight scene between him and,
yeah.
Keith David. They shoulda had you in that.
Oh God.
You could have been the third wheel in that fight.
Ah, oh, that was a good fight. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
one of the classics on film. I think with
What
that.
was your memories of They Live?
Uh, Not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I enjoyed working with Roddy Piper. Again, I was only out there the one day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as what they call me, the well dressed customer. Uh, and the first Alien, uh, that I had lost a lot of weight then. Uh, but I enjoyed working. I enjoyed with Roddy Piper. He was
Mm-hmm.
a very nice guy. Uh, Buck had a great role in that, but
Mm-hmm.
I just had that one little bit.
Yeah. No, I like the film. Did you
Oh,
meet
it was a good film. Yeah.
did you meet Meg Foster?
Yeah, I had met her around town, several of them. Very nice.
Those
Uh,
eyes.
yeah, and in person they were even more so on than on film. I think just
Mm-hmm.
mesmerizing,
Yeah.
just mesmerizing with her.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you worked on The Fog as well. Talk about working with John Carpenter.
that that was an experience. Uh, we filmed down in the port of San Pedro,
Mm-hmm.
and on the ship and on the interior of the fishing boat,
Mm-hmm.
and then coming out, and we did most of that in 2 days, and then I went over to wrapped out, went over to Europe, and as a matter of fact, I had been in another of Carpenter's, the Elvis.
Oh
Just
yes.
I was just I was a thing in the control booth,
Mm-hmm.
in the Philips control booth there. Didn't have a line, and I but with the fog, uh, we filmed there. James Canning, myself, and I went over to Europe to work with Matt Simber on a film called Seven Graves for Rogan, which was later released as A Time to Die,
Mm-hmm.
with Edward Albert and Rex Harrison, Ralph Alone. I was over there as a writer, and I was over there for 3 months. And Elvis came on in Amsterdam. Elvis was being shown in theaters over there, and I went saw it there, and came back, and then got called in by John Carpenter, because he decided, well, we got to kill these guys. We got to see these guys die. And if you really look closely, you can see that I had a beard, and then I shaved it off going to Europe, and I had to let it grow back out. And it's not as long as it was from the time we come out of the hold of that ship till the time we die. And at the same time, my shirt was gone, so they had to find a shirt close to that. And Buck had less of a beard, and then he had more of a beard when we came out of the hold. And it was, but you really have to. Carpenter was good
Mm-hmm.
with matching these things, and we shot the deaths on a sound stage out here in Van Nuys. 3 months after we had shot the interiors of the ship and the exteriors of us watching the schooner go by.
Mm-hmm.
This was 3-4 months later, and I was in a scene projected to be in a scene as a spirit. I went up and shot that up in the Hollywood Hills of Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins when they come to the door there,
Mm-hmm.
and they hear the banging of the door, and that was never used.
Ah.
But John was, well, you know, he's extraordinary filmmaker. And I enjoyed him working with him very much.
And of course, he worked a lot with Deborah Hill, and
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
yep.
Deborah. Uh, boy, I like Deborah very much.
Yeah.
He when Buck died of cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in the cancer ward over here at St. Joseph's when he was passing, and Deborah Hill was in the same ward at the same time.
Oh.
So that was the last time I saw either one. Well, no, I saw Buck after that, but the last time I saw Deborah.
Mm-hmm.
But she was a nice lady. I liked Deborah very much.
What were your memories of Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins?
I never worked with them.
Oh, okay.
I no, I met them that one time, and that was it. Just and in passing, hi, how are you? And this is so and so and so and so.
Did you meet Adrienne Barbeau?
Yes, met her.
I've had
There
her
was,
on. I had her on the show here 5 years ago.
yeah, she was a nice lady. Uh, I ran into her 3-4 years ago down here on Ventura Boulevard. Uh, she didn't remember me. That said she did, but I don't know. I've changed so much since then. I wouldn't remember me. But I don't have any remembrances of them because I didn't really meet them other
Oh,
than socially
yeah.
at screening and at a rap party later.
Well, I got to bring up Alligator.
Oh God, alligator! Oh. That was boy. That was just that one day work there, and I did that the very day that I filmed that scene, and then took off to Las Vegas to do the screenplay for Butterfly, and the same day. But that was fun. That was fun. And I met Robert Forster later in later years. He was a nice guy, really nice guy. He was nice. I remember him from being on the set
Uh-huh.
and having that little dialogue with him. And then years later, uh, a mutual friend, Tom Castronovo, who did Tales from the Dark Side. He was a producer, director there, and he did a lot of theater around here. And he cast me as Ernest Hemingway in a one-man show written by Yabo Yablonsky, who wrote Victory. Was Stallone, and I was doing, and he was also good friends with Robert Forster. And Forster came down to see the show, and he was contemplating putting a one-man show together as Ronald Reagan at that time. And I don't think he ever did anything with that. But Forster was a nice guy, one of the nice guys in Hollywood.
It was interesting. He made a bit of a comeback there with Jackie Brown. He really stole that
Yeah.
movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I
Any
was sorry
memories
to,
of, huh?
I was sorry to see him go because I think he went too early.
Hmm.
Really.
Any memories of that giant alligator?
No, I didn't. I just had that one scene, and I was never down in the sewers with the alligator.
Under the Rainbow. I haven't seen this, but it's got a
Oh
great
Lord,
great cast in it
boy,
though.
you've done it. You've done a hell of a history, Greg.
Yeah.
uh, Under the Rainbow. Whoa,
Hmm.
I uh, Steve Rash called. I had done the Buddy Holly story
Hmm.
for them, and then Steve Rash was directing Under the Rainbow, and he said, "You know, we liked you so much in that. Uh, love to have you come do something." By that time, God, I'd lost about 40, 50 pounds. And I remember working with Pat McCormick, yeah.
Hmm.
And just very briefly, was out there that one day.
As a
Uh,
bartender, yeah.
yeah, as a bartender in the hotel. Boy, that's a, that's, I don't remember a lot about that.
You
Uh,
mentioned the Buddy Holly story. You know what? I was going so ahead of myself, I forgot to bring that up. What were your memories of that?
that, I enjoyed that one very much. Again, it was only one day's work,
Hmm.
uh, but I knew the guy who played my boss, a guy named Jim Beach, and I had known him from years ago. I had met him in well, I was working for Chuck Barris on the
Hmm.
original dating game,
Hmm.
newlywed game,
Yeah.
and I met Jim there, and we run into one another around town. And then he was casting my boss in Buddy Holly's story. But wow, that was, I remember very fondly of Gary Busey and God, what was his name? Don
Okay.
Stroud, Charlie Martin Smith. Yeah. Uh, that was, we had a script, and Rash said, to do some improvisation, and we just improv that uh, hold it but don't hit it
Hmm.
line that TJ, my character, gives to Buddy Holly in trying to do that song. But that was that's fond memories of that. And then I hadn't worked for a while, and I was cast in this, and we were rehearsing the scene, and I gave him that line where hold it, don't hit it, and all of a sudden Busey put his guitar down and came running up into that control room, and I thought, oh Jesus, yeah, I've offended the star now, and he ran into the control booth, stuck his hand out, and said, "I'm Gary Busey. What's your name? You're great." And it was, whew, boy, what a relief. But there was a lot of history behind that one
Hmm.
that I have since read about, just because they tried to get the film going. And Busey, I think at one time was cast as one of the Crickets, and someone else was doing the Buddy Holly role.
Hmm.
And then that all fell apart, and then they cast Gary Busey as Buddy Holly, and he did a fantastic job on that.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Yeah.
just terrific.
Buddy Holly went tragically way too young.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
'Cause
Yep.
I was a teenager when that happened
Mm-hmm.
in the 50s, and I
Oh, I thought
remember.
you were only 39.
Oh, don't I wish? Don't I wish? Oh God.
You have mentioned Butterfly. Now that film was up for a lot of Razzies, I remember. I
Yes,
hadn't
it was.
seen it. I hadn't seen it, but I mean Orson Welles and Pia Zadora.
Yeah.
Any memories of them?
Oh, bunch of memories of. I never met Orson Welles.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we Matt. Uh, Matt and I had worked. I'd worked as grip on several of Matt's shows,
Mm-hmm.
and then he hired me as a writer to work with him on the Mario Puzo thing, Seventh Grade for Rogan. And when I went to Europe, Amsterdam,
Mm-hmm.
and then Butterfly, I just was in on that one from the beginning. He gave me the book and said, "Look at this. We're going to do a movie of it." Jesus, this is my way out of the low budget independence. This is some
Mm-hmm.
class work. James M. Cain novel, and so I was in Las Vegas for I don't know, it's 6 months, I guess, working on it and filming it, and we sent the first draft out to Stacy Keach, and he was filming some film over in Australia at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and he loved it. He came back immediately. I said, "Yeah, I want to do this." And Edward Albert, uh, and Edward did one of the Jackie Giroux movies
Mm-hmm.
also, and Jackie told me, or somebody told me that Edward said when they presented him with the scripts,
Mm-hmm.
and because he liked my work, he was a very nice guy. I worked with him on at Seventh Grade for Rogan in Amsterdam, and he was a hard worker, hard work.
Yeah, I got
Uh,
to yeah.
and then he did Butterfly,
Mm-hmm.
and we just, geez, I'm getting lost my train of thought. You asked me memories on Butterfly. So many things are intertwined.
You remember Pia Zadora?
And he owned the Riviera Hotel, and that became headquarters. We lived at
Mm-hmm.
and filming
Yep.
for about six months, and I was doing a lot of boozing at the time. So I got into some trouble over there with my temper fueled.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at one time uh, asked to leave Las Vegas because I didn't agree to do with the ending of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And being only the writer, then I was expendable. It was it was a time, but I was there through maybe half the filming of that.
Mm-hmm. I got a
I
couple other
left.
yeah.
just before Orson Welles came in, so I never got to meet him.
Well, here's another couple of films I want to ask you about. One, of course, is Maniac Cop.
Maniac Cop. Look,
Mm-hmm.
yes, Bill Lustig.
Mm-hmm.
Did I write on that one or
Just a second, I could
one
check.
that Bill? No, it was 1 minute. Maniac Cop.
I don't know. Just a second, I'll give it a check here.
Relentless.
Yeah.
Wrote
Okay.
with
All right.
Bill. And Bill came out from New York to do Relentless, and he had seen something else that I had written and said, I want that flavor. And so I worked with him writing on that one and also did a role. But Maniac Cop, I
Mm-hmm.
was there just only the one day. Yeah. That's was in the geez, you know this stuff better than I do, Greg. I was in a hearing room, right, with
Mm-hmm.
Rip Torn and a bunch of others. Yeah. But that's all I did on Maniac Cop, and Robert Zadar starred in that.
Uh-huh.
He was the Maniac Cop, and he also did another thing they were called Night Stalker.
Night Stalker. Yeah, you worked with Charles Napier in that. Talk about a
Yeah.
great talent. Yeah.
Oh, I love Napier.
Mm-hmm.
Napier was also a friend, and he and Buck were tighter than ticks.
Yeah.
But Night Stalker originally painted dolls, and they went into production, and they were having some production problems, and the producer Don Edmonds in. And he said, shut the whole thing down. And he shut the whole thing down and called me and said, we need to do a whole rewrite on it. The only thing we're going to keep is the fact that ladies of the night are being killed and painted. And he and I worked out a storyline, and I wrote the screenplay.
Okay.
On that. And Buck was one of the producers because Buck and Don were tight.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wrote the role of Stryker for Napier. Basically, we all knew that we'd use Napier from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we shot it around town. They got Buck and Don came up with Max Clevin as a director, who had been a second unit director up to this point, and action stuff on films like Hard Times with Charlie
Mm-hmm.
Bronson and James Coburn.
Okay.
And he brought in this young photographer, Don Burgess. The two of them put an absolutely beautiful look to The Night Stalker. Was originally called Painted Dolls, and then Stryker. We wrote it under the title Stryker, which was Napier's character. And then when it was released, the Night Stalker trial was going on, and they thought, the releasing company thought that'd be a good title. And put Buck
Mm-hmm.
Parker. But Clevin and Burgess put a look to that film that elevated it from a B movie up into a B plus. And Don Burgess went on to photograph Forrest Gump.
Okay. Yep.
And this was his first A unit work as a cinematographer. Yeah, fantastic cinematographer.
Yeah. Do you another film I would bring up? Do you remember anything with Linda Blair and Tab Hunter and Donna Wilkes and Grotesque?
Grotesque. Oh God. I met her when I went up to do my bit. She's up around Big Bear, somewhere around in
Yeah.
there. And there was who was the other guy? God, I can see his face. Stockwell, Guy Stockwell. Yeah,
Guy Stockwell. Yeah.
yeah. I had met Guy Stockwell in a theater down here, but I don't remember a lot about that. When my friend Sanford Hampton was one of the producers on that, line producer or something,
Hmm.
but he had called me up there.
Well, the last film I would bring up is Tammy and the T-Rex because
Oh,
I interviewed Ellen Dubin from that film.
Ellen Dubin, who?
She was Terry Kaiser's sidekick.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I interviewed her when Napoleon Dynamite had its anniversary a couple of years back, and she was lovely and living here in Canada, and yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, my friend in Toronto put me in touch with her, and she talked about Tammy and the T-Rex and working with Denise Richards and
yeah. Recently they did a Blu-ray thing on it recently for a re-release, a DVD release, and
mm-hmm.
there is a group that screens old movies like this down in Hollywood at the Egyptian Theater,
Mm-hmm.
and the director Stuart Raffle and I were asked to come down and do a Q&A afterwards. And that was the first time I had seen Tammy and the T-Rex in years, years. I only had a couple of days again on that. As the drunk sitting in a hospital room, and then at the grave site. A lot about it, but yeah, I do remember doing it.
Yeah, she had good memories on it.
Worked with Stewart on Adventures of the Wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
He directed that, which Buck was also a co-star in, and I did the small role doctor in that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're now retired off now, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just kind
So,
of taking.
yeah, how will you handle the whole COVID thing? You said you got your shots. I've heard interesting things about that. How were the shots for that?
Well, the first shot had no problem with.
Mm-hmm.
Second one laid me low. I really was fatigued and
Mm-hmm.
didn't run any fever that I know of, but just slept. I slept for about 2 days
Okay.
and was weak, very weak, fatigued. But I'm over that now and back up doing that exercise regimen and doing some walking now. I put on a mask and go out and walk. Yeah, but I used to run. When I quit smoking, I quit drinking 38 years ago and then quit smoking 28 years ago. And when I quit smoking, I took up running and started running. Used to run with buddy of mine, Gary
Look at that, my
Grubbs.
cat jumped up here.
Hey, you're a cat person, huh?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love my kitty.
I love cats.
Yeah, he
Love
jumped
cats.
up here, wanted to see what I was talking about.
Certainly, certainly. They've got to keep you running smoothly.
Yeah, he's a rescue kitty.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
He jumped up here as like interrupting the interview. He
Yeah,
wants Yeah, but yeah, I think I'm way down on the totem pole for the COVID thing, the
yeah,
vaccine. But I've heard of a lot of my guests have got it, and some have talked about having a sore arm
yeah.
or fever or the sweats or the shakes or whatever. But then they're all better.
That's on the second shot. It seems like.
Hmm.
But then again, I know some people have, like my buddy Gary Grubbs
Hmm.
said he sailed through both both with no problem.
Hmm.
His wife got some symptoms on the second one. My wife had Catherine didn't have it as she got knocked down a little bit, but not as much as me.
Hmm.
But you can't knock her down anytime. She's up and going all the time.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
So
other than that, I just take it easy around here. Do a little garden work, yard work. See my grandkids.
hmm.
Got three granddaughters.
Hmm.
And just take it easy.
Yeah. So do you got any charities that you're involved in that you want to promote on here?
No, no.
Hmm.
Uh, veterans, just the veterans,
Hmm.
disabled veterans, wounded
Hmm.
warriors. Actually, we give to that. Uh, had in my family had three naval uniform people, servicemen, two Marines, one Air Force who was a career. So I was National Guard. I went in National Guard in the 1950s when I was a teenager. Spent 3 years active National Guard and then 5 years uh, reserve. And so I appreciate the soldier, the serviceman
Hmm.
very much, and I support them. That's
So
about it.
you don't have a web page or anything like that?
No, no, no,
No.
no, no,
No.
no.
Well,
Some
what
people like yourself seek me out, find me somehow,
Oh, I
and I
found you on Facebook. I think that's where I found you.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind if I add you on Facebook?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I'll
I
do that.
don't. I don't do a lot of Facebook.
Hmm.
I don't do a lot of social media, but certainly stick me on there if you like.
Yeah. No, it was just a matter of me browsing Sunrise Records, and I just came
Well,
across this, and I was like, "Ah, I remember the drive-ins once upon a time."
my
Yeah.
good fortune then.
Well, you know what? I
Yeah.
took a chance on it. I hadn't even
Well,
heard
good.
of the movie until I just kind of saw it, and I was like, "This looks like nostalgia for me." And I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. A nice shock ending, and the characters were pretty funny in it. I think it had a lot going for it. The red herrings were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, and I thought, well, since it's celebrating its anniversary, let's
Well, good.
highlight it here on Python's Paradise, and
Python's Paradise. I have to.
I'm also a snake lover, but I don't have any snakes
Oh,
here. I just got my kitty, but
ah,
yeah, I think they're cool creatures, but yeah, I thought I would highlight this have you come on here. And I was glad to get you on.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
But if
My
you want,
pleasure.
but if you want to put me in touch with Norman, I'd be more than happy to have him on
Yes,
as
in
well.
fact, let me make a note of that right now. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'll forget it. Uh, Norm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I would definitely have him on here and talk about that hat he wore in the car.
Okay.
Yep, yep. But yeah, it was wonderful having you on here today and talk about this. And I'm glad you're doing well and enjoying your retirement.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Not much for people my age in Hollywood now anymore. Uh, I finally just, I'm no more of the pictures and the angst, and I don't even want to go around cross town. But I enjoy uh, retirement. Enjoyed my careers,
Well, I'll
writer
tell
and
you what.
actor.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll get in touch with Sean Clark and see if he wants to bring you into some conventions if you're
Okay,
open to that. Because
sure.
trust me, they're pretty fun. I've done all of mine in Toronto, but I gotta say they're pretty fun. And
Yeah.
yeah, the people seem to like them. So I,
Okay.
yeah, so and also I'll see what he says. And before I let you go, I would love to get a plug for my show, though.
Certainly. What would
Yeah,
you want?
just state your name and say we're celebrating the 45th anniversary of Drive-In Massacre,
Okay.
and then say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise out of New Brunswick, Canada. Do you think you get all that?
Let me. My wife was pushing my something in my face. So can I throw in one more plug?
Sure.
I'm also a novelist,
Oh yeah, okay. I did
and
not
I
know this.
yes, I wrote a book called The Wait.
Okay.
It's on available on Amazon.com and
Mm-hmm.
books. And I've done a screenplay from it as well as a stage play, and had a couple of productions done as a stage play. But I did the novel, screenplay, and stage play as The Wait, THEWAIT.
Oh wow.
So if anybody's interested in that, it's a family drama set on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi uh, during a storm.
Okay. All right. I did not know that you were a writer as well.
Oh, yes, I've done just about all of it, Greg. Worked for a Hollywood Reporter, Daily Variety, and
Well, I
Cashbox.
knew you wrote for that. I didn't know you had a novel out.
Yes, okay.
Okay. All
Well,
right. Well, that's
so,
fantastic.
all right. My name is John F. Goff, and I'm here with Greg.
Gilbert.
Greg, I mean, why your gut felt why it plumped into my. I'm sorry. Let me cut that and start again.
Try
My
her
name is
again.
John. My name is John F. Goff, and I'm here with Greg Gilbert on Python Podcast. And it's been just a delight. You prodded my memory into some places I had no idea were even there anymore. But it's been a great pleasure, and I thank you very much, Greg.
I appreciate you coming on here. I was delighted when you got in touch with me, and I was very happy to discover this film. So
Yes,
I'm
the
hoping
45th anniversary of Drive-In
Drive-In Massacre.
Massacre.
You and Bruce sitting in a car, you're in drag.
Yes, yes.
What
You,
does your wife think of you in drag?
oh, she laughs. She laughs.
I bet.
That was one ugly looking woman, wasn't
Oh, I loved it when the other characters were falling for it, like
it?
Robert was falling for it. Like, I thought that was pretty funny,
Yeah.
and yeah, but your wife married you, so you can't be that bad.
Well, it's been 30 something years now.
You know what? A lot of Hollywood
But
marriages don't last that long, so
no,
congratulations.
no. Well, I had three.
Hmm. There you go.
Anyway, no. I, uh, she is, as an actress, Catherine Battistone, Battistone,
Okay.
and she did mostly did voiceover work, and
Okay.
she had a huge success in that field.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes, but anyway,
Well, I
that's
bid
my life.
that's your life. Well, you know what? This was a lot of fun today. I appreciate having you come on here today and celebrate this. And absolutely, you keep yourself safe. And
Thank you.
there in California, I'm 4 hours.
And did I have your yes, I do have your email address.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm
So we'll
four
try to
hours
keep
ahead of
in
you here.
touch. I'd
Yeah.
like to catch up with some other of your podcasts.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll send you the link, my YouTube link, because that's where I have
Okay.
them all up. I put up right now. I'm still putting up the 2019s.
Uh-huh.
So, like I said, I put one
Okay.
up every 5 days. That way, when I come up with a crutch like COVID did,
Uh-huh.
I did 30 interviews last year, and then the station got closed down, and I was like,
Yeah.
it wasn't until January this year that I got hooked up with Zoom, and this has been great. I don't have to schedule time at the station to do this. This is actually quite nice.
Yes.
But I mean, I'll go back to the station when it opens, but
Yeah.
it's nice to be to schedule them here and wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, Greg. Well, do you need me for anything else?
Well, if I do, I will get in touch.
Okay.
You have yourself a wonderful day and God
I
bless.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You take care.
All right, Greg.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.